In today's discussion, we are going to tackle about another way of solving a quadratic equation. Which does not involve factoring, but it only involves a quadratic formula, an equation. But before that, let's see the standard form of a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation means the highest exponent is 2. So let's use this standard form. We have ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Always remember that standard form always equate into 0. Then, the highest degree of a quadratic equation or the highest exponent is 2, which was partnered by a. Or we have ax squared here. So that's the standard form for the quadratic equation. In order for you to realize or to visualize this equation or this standard form of a quadratic equation, let's try this example. Let's say we have x squared plus 5x plus 6. It should be equated to 0 to be called as standard form. And the highest degree is 2. And the partner or the a here is 1 and the b here is 5. Okay. And the c here is 6. Understand? Already understand the quadratic equation and the standard form. So that's the standard form. It should always be equated to 0. And if we deal with quadratic equations and we are going to look for the values of x, we always use the factoring method. Like for example, let's say we are going to factor the x squared. So we have x times x. Then since the sign of the second term is positive, so we both have positive. And now we are looking for the factor of 6, which is if we have this factor, the sum should be 5. So let's think. So we have 3 and 2, right? So now, that's the factor of this example. But let's say, so if we are going to get the value of x, we need to equate the factor in 0. So we have x plus 3 equals 0 and x plus 2 equals 0. Now, isolate the equation, we get x is equal to negative 3. And another one is x is equal to negative 2. That's the factor. And that's the way that factoring method should be used. You see? Yes. For the values that is easy to factor. However, quadratic equations does not always maintain or contain terms that are factorable. Therefore, here come, which is the quadratic formula. So, to easily understand this formula, I prepare a song to you which was taught by my former junior high school, which is junior high school teacher, which is the quadratic formula. I use this song to easily understand this quadratic formula because it is very helpful. So this song like this: x equals negative b plus or minus radical sign b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. That's the song. Again, I repeat, x equals negative b plus or minus radical sign b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Again, For the third time, let's sing the song. X equals negative b plus or minus radical sign b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, gets? So, how this formula work? Remember earlier our general equation, which is in standard form. We have ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And this formula works for quadratic equations that are factorable or not. And it should always on standard form or always equate in 0. So before you use this quadratic formula, remember that it should be in standard form or equated in 0. Now, let's try quadratic formula in this equation. Let's have this equation. We have 2x squared plus 6x minus 8 equals 0. So it is a quadratic equation. And it is in standard form because it is equated on 0. Our a here is the one who partnered with x squared, which is 2. Our b here is the one who partnered on x, which is 6. And our c here is the one who is constant, which is negative 8. Now, let's try our quadratic formula. In order for us to understand or to remember this quadratic equation or quadratic formula, let's sing this song. We have x equals negative b plus or minus radical sign b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? Always remember that song, and you can easily remember also the quadratic formula. Now, let's substitute the values. We have negative b, so which is our b here is 6 plus or minus, so radical sign b squared, which is our b is 6, so we have 6 squared minus 4 and our a here is 2, so we have 2 here. Then we have negative 8 for c all over, let's write 2, then our a here is 2, so that's it. Now let's isolate or just simplify the equation. Let's copy. We have negative 6 plus or minus radical sign, and 6 squared is 36, 6 times 6 is 36, minus negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 8 is positive 64, right? All over 2 times 2 is 4, right? So continue. Let's continue simplifying the equation. So we have negative 6 plus or minus 36 plus 64 is 100. So we have square root of 100 all over 4. Okay, let's use the other side of the board. Now, we have this. Let's have this time. Since we have this plus or minus sign, let's use this as negative 6 plus square root of 100 all over 4. And on the other side, we have x. We have x is equal to negative 6 now minus square root of 100 over 4. So that's it. Now, let's simplify this too. We have negative 6 plus square root of 100 is 10 over 4. And on the other side, we have negative 6 minus square root of 100 is 10 over 4. Let's simplify. We have 4 over 4. And on the other side, we have negative 16 over 4. Then, simplify. We have 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. Therefore, x is equal to 1. And on the other side, we have x is equal to negative 16 over 4 is negative 4. So, that's it. That's quadratic formula works.